ये वाला? I said good morning everyone. Namaskar.
A very good morning. On behalf of National Legal Services Authority, I extend a most respectful and warm welcome to Honorable Mr. Justice Vikram Nath, Judge, Supreme Court of India, Executive Chairman NALSA, learned member secretaries of State Legal Services Authorities, other representatives from SLSs, DLSs, Disability Right Organization, all the participants who have joined us today for this national webinar organized to commemorate the International Day of Persons with Disabilities. Justice becomes meaningful only when every person, irrespective of disability, can navigate and participate in the legal system. Ensuring accessible legal aid for persons with disability is therefore not merely a topic of discussion, but a national commitment to making justice practically reachable for all. As we begin today's program, it is our honor and privilege to start with a small but a meaningful gesture of respect. I respectfully invite Sri Sanjeev Pandey, Learned Member Secretary NALSA, to felicitate Honorable Mr. Justice Vikram Nath, Executive Chairman NALSA, with a token of respect and gratitude.
Thank you so much.
Inaugurating today's deliberation and to further ground our discussion in this shared commitment, I invite Sri Sanjeev Pandey, Learned Member Secretary NALSA, to deliver welcome address and opening remarks.
Good morning, everyone. A nation's progress is defined not only by the laws it enacts, but by the barriers it removes. Thank you all for being here today. We are gathered here today by a common resolve to make justice more humane and accessible. We take immense pleasure in welcoming Honorable Mr. Justice Vikram Nath, Judge Supreme Court of India and Executive Chairman, National Legal Services Authority. His Lordship's guidance and leadership continue to inspire NALSA's efforts towards strengthening access to justice across the country. It is an honor to have his gracious presence with us today. We also extend a warm welcome to all distinguished participants and stakeholders joining us for this important occasion. Member Secretaries, State Legal Service Authorities, Secretaries, District Legal Services Authorities, esteemed officials from the Department of Empowerment of Persons with Disabilities, State Disability Commissioner, members and nodal officers from state and district legal services authorities, representatives of the High Court and Supreme Court Legal Services Committees, leaders from disability rights organizations and service providers, members of legal aid clinics, universities, and paralegal volunteers, and most importantly, persons with disabilities. Every year on December 3rd, we commemorate the International Day of Persons with Disabilities, acknowledging the struggles, achievements, and contributions of individuals with disabilities worldwide. Instituted by the United Nations in 1992, this day serves as a platform to raise awareness, challenge misconceptions, and advocate for the rights and well-being of people with disabilities. The theme for the year is Fostering Disability Inclusive Societies for Advancing Social Progress. This reminds us that inclusion is not just a principle, it is a shared responsibility. Development and social integration must go hand in hand, and this is achievable only when persons with disabilities are recognized as both participants and beneficiaries of progress. Disability inclusion across social, economic, cultural, and political spheres is therefore not optional. It is essential. The presence of state and district legal services authorities, government departments, disability rights organizations, legal aid clinics, universities, and self-advocates demonstrate our collective resolve to ensure that right translate into real access, real opportunity, and real dignity for persons with disabilities. Countries across the world are increasingly recognizing that disability inclusion is not only a matter of national policy, but also a global human rights commitment. International frameworks place a clear responsibility on states to remove the deep-rooted disparities that persons with disabilities face, particularly in accessing healthcare. India's efforts mirror these global commitments. We have aligned our domestic laws with the UNCRPD and the Sustainable Developmental Goals, moving from a narrow, medicalized view of disability to a broader, right-based and barrier-free approach. National Legal Services Authority remains deeply committed to disability inclusive legal aid. Under Section 12 of the Legal Services Authorities Act, persons with disabilities are entitled to free legal services. These measures are essential to convert rights into lived realities. This webinar will feature perspectives from state and district legal services authorities on state level initiatives, insights from government bodies, and most importantly, the lived experiences of persons with disabilities. Their voice guides us, reminds us of ground realities, and help ensure that our systems evolve with compassion and accountability. As we begin today's session, including the keynote address, technical sessions, and an interactive open house, I encourage all participants to engage actively, share best practices, and reflect on how our institutions can work together more effectively. With this, I once again extend my warm welcome to all dignitaries, speakers, and participants. I wish today's deliberations great success and look forward to meaningful and action-oriented discussions. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for those insightful reflections that ground today's discussion. Having established a thematic tenor of this webinar, it is important to view our theme through the lens of leadership and institutional insight and explore the broader vision that informs our approach to disability inclusive justice. His Lordship's guidance is essential in steering national efforts towards a justice system that is accessible and empathetic. May I respectfully invite Honorable Mr. Justice Vikram Nath, Judge Supreme Court of India and Executive Chairman NALSA, to address the participants.
Good morning, everyone. It is a pleasure to address this distinguished gathering dedicated to strengthening disability, inclusive justice in India. Today, as we reflect on the rights, dignity, and lived realities of persons with disabilities, we are guided by a simple yet profound truth, namely that inclusion is not bringing people into what already exists. It is about making a new space, a better space for everyone. Inclusion is not an act of charity, it is an affirmation of equal personhood. Inclusion is about creating an environment where every individual, regardless of their abilities, has the opportunity to participate fully in society and to contribute meaningfully. It is about recognizing that diversity is not a challenge to be managed, but a strength to be embraced. As we gather on this day to mark the International Day of Persons with Disabilities, we must always remember that every individual has something valuable to contribute, and our society is richer, more innovative, and more humane when every person can participate fully. When we speak of disability, we speak of human lives, the lives of mothers, fathers, daughters, sons, students, workers, artists, neighbors. These are lives filled with dreams, aspirations, and immense potential. The United Nations Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities defines persons with disabilities as those with a long term physical, mental, intellectual, or sensory impairment that, in interaction with various barriers, may hinder a person's full and effective participation in society on an equal basis with others. When we remove the barriers, we do more than create accessibility, we unlock human potential. Despite India's progress in law and policy, lived experiences reveal that barriers remain deeply entrenched. Attitudinal barriers, physical and communicational challenges, inaccessible infrastructure, gaps in education and employment, and the unique vulnerabilities faced by persons with psychosocial disabilities persist. Stigma, stereotyping, and casual prejudices often overshadow capability. Derogatory portrayals in media or public discourse reinforce exclusion and limit opportunities. Despite the Accessible India campaign, many public buildings, court complexes, transport systems, and information channels remain inaccessible. Accessibility is still too often seen as charity rather than a legal obligation. In education and employment, gaps remain significant. Less than 1% of India's educational institutions is fully disability friendly. Only a small share of companies employs about 1% of persons with disabilities. Lack of accessible study materials, assistive technology, ramps, scribes, and inclusive workplaces continues to restrict equal participation. For persons with psychosocial disabilities protected under the Mental Healthcare Act 2017, discrimination, institutionalization, and lack of legal representation remain pressing concerns. These vulnerabilities deepen when disability intersects with gender, caste, poverty, or rural disadvantage. These are not isolated hardships, they are shared societal vulnerabilities. Addressing them requires shared resolve from the state, legal institutions, civil society, and each of us as citizens. To inspire us in this journey, Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam once shared an incident from 27th November 2003 at Rashtrapati Bhavan when he met 1,000 differently abled children at the Ag Olympics in Rashtrapati Bhavan. Among them was Mustafa, a boy from Iran who had lost both legs and wore artificial limbs. He handed Dr. Kalam a poem titled Courage. I quote, I don't have legs. My mind says, don't weep, don't weep, for I need not bow even in front of a king. Unquote. Dr. Kalam was deeply moved by Mustafa's positive spirit. This incident reminds us that courage and optimism can transform life's challenges into meaningful action. Mustafa's words are a universal lesson in resilience, determination, and hope. India's constitution and laws, including the Rights of Persons with Disabilities Act 2016 and the Mental Healthcare Act 2017, provide a strong foundation for these goals. Articles 14, 19, and 21 of the Constitution ensure equality, liberty, and dignity for every individual, while the directive principles of state policy call for social and economic justice. The 2016 Act expands recognized disabilities from 7 to 21 categories, strengthens reservations in education and public employment, mandates accessibility in public infrastructure, protects persons with disabilities from discrimination and abuse, and requires the state to create support systems for those with high support needs. The rules operationalize these obligations. The Mental Health Care Act guarantees rights to mental health treatment, community living, and free legal services in certain cases, while other frameworks, such as the Rehabilitation Council of India Act and the National Trust Act, establish systems for professional training, guardianship, and community based support. Together, these laws create an architecture not only for protection but for empowerment. However, laws alone do not guarantee justice. Implementation does. This is where NALSA and the network of legal services institutions play a vital role. Under Section 12 of the Legal Services Authorities Act 1987, persons with disabilities are explicitly entitled for free legal services. These provisions are not mere technical clauses, they are instruments of dignity. NALSA's updated 2024 scheme for persons with mental illness and intellectual disabilities aligns legal aid with both the Rights of Persons with Disability Act, and the Mental Health Care Act. It emphasizes accessible legal processes, communication support such as sign language interpretation and augmentative communication tools, remote hearing arrangements, and barrier free court premises. It also mandates proactive outreach to institutions, schools, rehabilitation centers, and community spaces. Statistics highlight the urgency. The 2011 census estimated 26.8 million persons with disabilities in India, though WHO and National Family Health Surveys indicate a much larger figure. Underreporting itself is a sign of systemic inaccessibility. Inclusion is not only a moral mandate, it has economic value too. Studies consistently show that disability inclusive economies grow faster, innovate more, and create more equitable societies. To convert entitlement into experience, we need coordinated and practical steps. All court complexes and legal services offices must undergo accessibility audits under the harmonized guidelines for universal accessibility. Legal aid outreach must be disability inclusive, with DLSAs regularly visiting hospitals, mental health institutions, special schools, and community centers. Mobile legal services vans and legal literacy camps should reach persons who cannot easily reach the system on their own. Disability sensitization should be mandatory for judges, panel lawyers, police personnel, and court staff. Co designed with organizations of persons with disabilities, legal services must support access to welfare schemes such as the Unique Disability ID, assistance to disabled persons, the Deen Dayal Disabled Rehabilitation Scheme, skill training programs, and financial support schemes. Legal information must be available in easy language, braille, audio, large prints, and universally accessible digital formats. NALSA should collect disaggregated disability data to strengthen accountability and identify gaps, and pursue strategic litigation that challenges systemic barriers, from inaccessible examination centers to denial of reservations or discriminatory employment practices. Beyond legal reform, building an inclusive society requires action from employers, educational institutions, media, families, and communities. Let us transform entitlement into access, making dignity the default and inclusion the norm. Being able does not mean being enabled. Being disabled does not mean being less abled. Removing barriers, amplifying voices, and designing inclusive systems is not just a legal duty, it is the path to a more just, humane, and hopeful future for all. As the famous American writer who herself had multiple disabilities, Helen Keller, once said, I quote, keep your face to the sunshine and you cannot see a shadow, unquote. When one decides to look towards light with hope, joy and thankfulness, darkness is diminished. It's a reminder that our outlook determines our experience. By conditioning the mind to look at good, one can live optimistically even amidst suffering. By her own example, Helen Keller has shown us through her extraordinary spirit. I wish to conclude with the slok of Rig Veda, Ano Bhadra Kritavo Yantu Vav Shatta, which means, let noble thoughts come from all directions. I am sure that noble thoughts will flow from all the stakeholders and participants during this webinar, making a meaningful impact on the lives of persons with disability. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Lordship, for those profound and inspiring thoughts that highlight the path towards a truly inclusive justice system. With the kind permission of His Lordship, we now move on to the first technical session of today's webinar. The theme of the session is Strengthening Implementation of Right of Persons with Disability Act 2016 Law and Practice. I now invite our distinguished speaker, Ms. Shikha Srivastava, OSD NALSA, to commence the session.
Thank you, ma'am. Once again, a warm welcome to everyone in this technical session, which relates to Rights of Persons with Disability Act 2060. And it also incorporates NALSA's scheme regarding persons with mental illness and person with intellectual disabilities 2024. In the last segment of this session, we would be dealing with 7 or 8 landmark judgments of Honorable Apex Court in this field. Now I will request the technical team to kindly share the screen and PPT. Since we are gathered to ensure and sensitize all the stakeholders regarding the implication, regarding the effective implementation of this act, I think there are two main qualities: empathy and sensitivity towards any such kind of legislation, which keeps the society in the tune. Now, starting with the PPT presentation. Slide move करिए. The only true disability is the inability to accept and respect the differences. I am starting with this quote, and now coming to the act directly, the primary objective of this act is to give effect to the United Nations Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disability. This convention is ratified by India in the year 2007. The primary object of this act is to provide equal opportunities, accessibility, and protection of rights of persons with disability, to ensure right to equality and non-discrimination, to ensure increased accessibility, representation, and is strengthening inclusive justice. Key features, just in a brief, I'll be discussing. The expanded definition given under Section 2, the Act recognizes 21 kinds of disabilities, including neurological conditions like autism and learning disability. The definition of persons with disability has been given under Section 2, means a person with long-term physical, mental, intellectual, or sensory impairment, which in interaction with barriers hinders his full and effective participation in society equally with others. Now, in summary, the Act provides certain rights to persons with disability, like equality and non-discrimination, community living, protection from cruelty, protection from abuse, violence, exploitation, protection and safety in emergencies, right to live with family, no separation due to disability. There are certain reproductive rights, accessible voting, which is one of the fundamental right also, limited and total guardianship, inclusive and continuing education. Now, when we talk about the legal framework, the Act provides elaborated provision regarding access to justice. Section 12 provides for barrier-free courts, accessible legal services, legal documents in accessible formats. The purpose is equal participation in the justice system. Persons with disability have full legal capacity. Section 13 provides for their legal capacity. Now they can manage property and finances independently, recognition of autonomy and equality in law. Now Section 14 provides for guardianship. This section allows limited guardianship only when necessary, based on mutual decision making, ensure respects for individual will and preferences. Designation of authority, Section 15 gives the power to appropriate government to establish a kind of support system which may provide assistance in decision making for those who need it. The persons with disability have every right to be have that kind of inclusion in any decision making. So the total sum of the entire chapter is this chapter makes ensure that equal access to justice, there should be equal access to justice, recognition of legal capacity, respectful guardianship, and government-backed support system. Section 31 provides for free education. As we all know, the free education for children aged 6 to 18 years, and it applies to children with benchmark disabilities also. Benchmark disabilities has been defined in defining clause under section 2. This section promotes equal opportunity in schooling. Reservation in higher education. At least 5% seats reserved in higher educational institution. It has been made mandatory under section 32, and it ensures inclusion in universities and colleges. Now, section 33 provides that government has to identify job posts suitable for disability categories, and the periodic review has to be done after after 3 years, and this keeps opportunities updated and relevant for them. There is provision of reservation in government job under section 34, 4% reservation in government jobs for benchmark disabilities. This covers multiple disability categories and strengthens representation in public services. Incentives to private employers. This is very unique provision. Section 35 of the Act provide that there is at least 5%, there must be some quota of 5% for persons with benchmark disabilities in private employment too. And for this purposes, the incentives has to be given by the government. Section 36 talks about employers must report vacancies for persons with disability. If there is any vacancy in any establishment which suits the work profile suits to the persons with disability, then it is duty of the employer that they must report such kind of vacancy, and there should be a dedicated employment exchanges for better matching. Now, section 37 provides that 5% reservation is for disabled person in some kind of schemes like housing scheme, poverty elevation programs, and land allotment. And the purpose of this provision is to ensure socio-economic inclusion of such category persons. Section 39. This section talks about awareness campaigns. This is basically where our intervention is involved. Section 39 talks about that government must create awareness about disability rights, public campaigns, workshops, educational programs. The aim is to promote inclusion and reduce stigma. Central government has to set accessibility norms. Now coming to the section 41, which is very much relevant these days because there are several judgments by Apex Court which talks about this provision. Access to transport is one of the basic rights of persons with disability. The accessible buses, trains, airports, and roads, mobility assistance for persons with disability, integration of accessibility in public transport and planning. And it applies to building, transport, information and communication technology, ensure barrier-free environment. Access to ICT. Section 42 talks about media and electronic content must be accessible. Websites, apps, and digital platforms should be inclusive and disabled friendly. This provision promotes equal participation in this digital age. Consumer goods. Section 43 provides for the promotion of universally designed product, goods usable by all regardless of ability. This encourages innovation and inclusivity in markets. Mandatory observance of accessibility norms. Section 44 provides that no building approval or completion without compliance. Every infrastructural project has to pass this mandatory norm, and accessibility is a legal requirement. This is not optional. This is not something which is optional. And whenever any plan is approved, whenever any scheme is approved, the government authorities or public authority has to ensure that there should be sustainable inclusion in infrastructure. This provision further provides there is a time limit within period of 5 years when the rules are framed. After the notification of such kind of rules, within 5 years this provision has to be fully compliant. Next slide. Accessibility by service providers. Section 46 provides for service provider must comply with accessibility standards, applies to bank, telecom, healthcare sectors, and this again ensures equal access to essential services. Next slide. Now, in short, I have briefed the provision of this Act 2016. This is another scheme by NALSA, Legal Services to Persons with Mental Illness and Persons with Intellectual Disability Scheme 2024. This is very recent scheme. I think in the last 2 years, a lot of work has been done under this scheme. Now, the scheme recognizes the barriers that people with mental illness and intellectual disabilities face in the legal system. It is consistent with the Legal Services Authorities Act 1987, the Mental Health Care Act 2017, the Right of Person with Disabilities Act 2016, and UN CRPD. It highlights the right to free legal aid under Section 12D and 12G of Legal Services Authority Act. It also reinforced the protection under Section 27 of Mental Health Care Act 2017. 2017 Mental Health Care Act is a new legislation which I think a legal awareness regarding all these acts and scheme is much required. The objective is to ensure responsive and accessible legal services, make legal services inclusive across all civil, criminal, and administrative matters, create a specialized district level unit, LSUM, ensure equal access to scheme, programs, and services. And the purpose is also to collaborate with government department and NGOs working in the field. This scheme comprises of Right of Persons with Disability Act 2016 as well as rights under Mental Health Care Act 2017. Provision under Section 5 to 27 of Mental Health Care Act 2017 deals with all these rights which are there, which the persons with disabilities are entitled. Section 5 provides for advance directives. Section 14 talks about appointed nominated representative. Section 18 about access mental health care, community living, protection from cruel, inhuman, degrading treatment, equality and non-discrimination, right to information under Section 22, confidentiality and protection of personal information, Section 23 and 24, access to medical records, personal contacts and communication, and right to free legal aid. Section 27 talks about right to free legal aid, where the work of DLSAs, paralegal volunteers, LADC, and panel lawyer comes into action. Now, provision for legal services. Provision for legal services, when we talk about the schemes provide there are certain kinds of legal services which can be provided at the district level, at taluka level, or what kind of services can be given to such kind of category of persons. This is mental health establishment, legal services unit for persons with mental illness, intellectual disabilities, Mano Nyay Clinic. I think at the district level or taluka level, it is supposed to that these clinics are working under the mentorship of SLSAs. Mano Nyay clinics in each district headed by Secretary, District Legal Services Authority. The purpose of the clinic is to provide legal advice and representation and to ensure proper assessment under Section 100 of Mental Health Care Act. The assessment of mental disability, intellectual disability is very crucial in the entire system. Unless there is some kind of report regarding the mental intellectual disability, free legal aid cannot be given. Monitor, the purpose, again the purpose is to monitor reporting of prisoners brought under Section 103 MSCA. Now the stages, now the steps where these kind of service can be given. Now at this step of police station, DLSC secretary to share detail of LSUM. LSUM has to provide AAC material must be made available. Police must inform persons about free legal aid, ensure protection under Section 100 MSCA. Under Mental Health Care Act, there are certain guidelines, there are certain principles which give protections to the person who is going to be arrested. If the police is going to arrest someone, then it is the duty of the police officials that to inform them they have such kind of right under this act. Now at the level of courts, DLSA secretary to share details of LSUM to the courts. Courts must maintain contact with LSUM. Remand lawyers must ensure Mental Health Care Act and RPWD rights, whatever rights given under these two acts has to be ensured during the remand also. panel lawyer, LADC, whoever is working at the grassroots level, they must know all these provisions, and they are there to give this kind of assistance to such kind of category of persons. Representation for person under Section 1013 Mental Health Care Act and persons with intellectual disabilities. Provision of legal services, DLSA secretary to ensure share details of LSUM and provide legal services legal services at beggars home, women's protection home, child care institutions, and other institutions. Legal services at prison, at taluka level. Even legal services can be given through home visits. The scheme provides that if the DLSA secretary feels such kind of request comes before him, then he may direct some PLV or paralegal volunteers, some panel lawyers or LADC to contact such person in need. Legal assistance in availing benefits of social welfare scheme. If their government is running such any kind of such schemes which is for the benefit of persons with disability, it is duty for the LSUM to provide such kind of legal assistance to the needy person. This is the hierarchy. This is the mechanism given under the scheme, that responsibilities of legal services providers and institutions. Legal services providers consider wishes and best interests of person with mental illness, ensure dignity, non-discrimination, and autonomy. At the DLSA level, they are supposed to implement such kind of a scheme very vigorously and submit their report in the format ABC. Format ABCD is attached in the last of the scheme, and I request you all to kindly go through this format and just fill all the, because we have, I think NALSA has got some data regarding this. This is the format. Format A, monthly DLSA checklist. Format B, LSUM details. Format C, the data sent by DLSA to SLSA, reporting every 2 months. And format D, SLSA to NALSA, reporting every 6 months. Recently, since we are working on this scheme since past 2 years, data regarding NALSA scheme 2024, a communication was issued to all SLSAs on 19th May 2025, directing them to submit consolidated data in format D for the period January to June 2025. And the last date was, I think it was 30th September 2025. So here we can have a picture. As on date on 1st December 2025, only 19 SLSAs have submitted their data. 18 SLSAs have not submitted their data. Based on the reports received, LSUM have been constituted in all SLSAs, but the level of field activity and outreach varies significantly. A few states such as Jharkhand, Chhattisgarh, Haryana, Gujarat, Bihar, Rajasthan have shown strong legal services delivery, while several others have submitted minimal service record. Outreach activities show high performance primarily from Andhra Pradesh, Haryana, Chhattisgarh, Gujarat, and Rajasthan. And yet we are waiting for some data to reach at our level. And surely, I think this kind of communication would be helpful for you all to give this data very efficiently. Now coming to the last segment of this technical session, we would be dealing some apex court judgment on the particular topic. This is the recent judgment of 2025, where the Judicial Services versus Registrar General High Court of Madhya Pradesh, the Supreme Court affirmed the full entitlement of visually impaired and other persons with disability to participate in judicial service. This case law recognizes the rights of Act 2016 as a transformative super statute. The court underscored the state's constitutional obligation to ensure equality, inclusion, and protection of persons with disabilities in harmony with India's commitment under the UNCRPD. The next case is Seema Girija Lal versus Union of India. This case is recently decided by the Supreme Court. The court required the prompt appointment of state commissioners, constitution of district level committees, assessment board, and the state disability fund, and ordered chief secretaries to ensure strict compliance within fixed timelines. Again, this is a case Rajiv Ratori versus Union of India. In this case, Supreme Court reaffirmed accessibility as a core component of the rights of persons with disability and directed the union government to revise the existing accessibility framework to incorporate clear, mandatory, and enforceable standards. It underscores the obligation of the state to ensure accessible public infrastructure and services, thereby guaranteeing dignity, equality, and full societal participation for persons with disability. This is very recent judgment, Kabir Pahadia versus National Medical Commission and others, 2025 judgment. Relying on its earlier precedents, the Apex Court reiterated the candidates with disability must be assessed individually with attention to their functional abilities, use of assistive technologies, and the principle of reasonable accommodation. It observed that denying admission to candidate despite his outstanding rank would violate his fundamental right under Article 14, 19, and 21. To ensure a fair evaluation, the court ordered the formation of a specialized medical board at AIIMS to reassess his suitability. Again, this is a case. I think the next slide is a bit. Okay. Again, this is a case of 2026. The Honorable Supreme Court had that candidates with disability have a constitutional and statutory right to access necessary access accommodations such as scribe when their disability affects their ability to write in examination. The court rejected restrictive rules that limit scribe facility to only a few specified disability categories and clarified that any disability causing difficulty in writing must be considered for reasonable accommodation. The court emphasized that rigid category-based inclusion violate the principle of equality and fundamental right and the rights given under the Act. So, Pragya Prasoon and others versus Union of India. This is the very recent judgment, 2025. It talks about the digital platform. Like the Honorable Court reaffirmed that accessibility, including access to information technology and digital platform, is part of fundamental right under Article 21. The court explained that the real problem is not the disability, but the barriers in the system, like flaws in digital KYC process, which prevent persons with disability from accessing services. To address these barriers, the court issued directives to ensure accessibility in the digital KYC system. It mandated all regulatory entities to follow prescribed accessibility standards, have them audited by certified professionals, and involve persons with disability in testing new apps and websites. And I think recently in 2025, some directives have been given by the department also to take initiative for participation of like digital accessibility enforcement 2025. CCPD mandated accessibility compliance for website, apps, and digital platforms, penalized several establishments for non-compliance with accessibility standards. This is the government initiative taken by the government, which is in consonance with the judgment of the Honorable Apex Court. Now, I want to conclude this technical session with this note. What counts in life is not the mere fact that we have lived. It is what difference we have made to the lives of others that will determine the significance of the life we lead. So we are here to participate in this webinar just to sensitize you, just to make aware you all about the rights of these persons with disability, and to work along with the theme of United Nations, that is fostering inclusive society for disabled person. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am, for that detailed and informative account on the statutory framework and its operational challenges. With the kind permission of learned member Secretary Nalsa, we would now begin the second technical session of today's webinar. The theme of session is Government Policies, Schemes and Institutional Mechanism for Persons with Disabilities. I am pleased to invite our panelist, Mr. D.D. Dharyal, former State Disability Commissioner, to commence the session.
Good morning, namaskar, everybody. Thank you, madam, for giving the opportunity to me to interact. Although the time is very short, I'll immediately start my utmost regards to all the NALSA functionaries, including Justice Bikram Nath Sir, Chairman of NALSA, and Member Secretary Sanjay Pandey, and colleagues. Today, I have been asked to speak on the schemes of national and state level uh, uh, and the policies and what the framework for. I think there is some problem. Yeah, okay. State level schemes, central level schemes, and the framework for people with disabilities. I have heard about what the rights of persons with disabilities are in the acts, in the law, what the apex court and other authorities have directed to the to the duty bearers. Now, the schemes are basically to implement the acts. I will talk about the mainstream schemes and the disability specific schemes. First, the disability specific schemes, which are basically framed by the Department of Empowerment of Persons with Disabilities and some of the other ministries like education, health. Although health is basically the prevention of disability, not for people with disabilities who have become disabled or have acquired disability. Now, Department of Empowerment of Persons with Disabilities have about 10 schemes of its own. Since I do not have so much time, I'll be just naming them, giving short overview of them. The first one is the National Fund for Persons with Disabilities. This is in implementation of the provision of the RPWD Act, where central government and every state government is required to have the fund for persons with disabilities. Under this scheme of National Fund for Persons with Disabilities, it is to encourage the people with disabilities, say in the crafts, in the art, in culture, any areas that promotes their empowerment, promotes their inclusion, promotes their economic well-being, education, etc. The other, like awareness, we said about the awareness is so important. Like Government of India is helping and supporting state governments under this scheme, giving them funds to organize Purple Fest specifically for people with disabilities. Then another very important sort of umbrella scheme is that ADIP scheme, that is aids and appliances, providing aids and appliances to persons with disabilities, right from cochlear implant, which is very expensive, to battery operated wheelchair, tricycles, hearing aid, reading writing material, that is under this scheme. Like surgery, suppose there is a possibility of some person, some child with disability, locomotor disability, that some aids and appliances, orthotics, prosthetics would help. Before that, the child or the person needs surgery, that also is under this scheme. Then we have another umbrella scheme called DDRS, Deen Dayal Disability Rehabilitation Scheme, and DDRCs, District Disability Rehabilitation Centers. This scheme helps supports uh, the the special schools, the cross disability efforts for education, for early detection, early intervention, or halfway homes for mentally ill people, leprosy cured people, their rehabilitation. And then there is latest, the addition is that the specific learning disabilities, they have certain issues like uh, uh, they may require some preparatory uh, coaching. Under that, it is cross disability therapies and even counseling. Then we have scholarship, three kinds of scholarships central government gives. That is pre-matric for people, children who are intellectually disabled, who are who have autism, who may be with multiple disabilities, or who have, say, autistic. So these children, the scholarship is given even before matriculation. And there are some schemes under for people with disabilities, children with disabilities, for post-matric education, and also the top class. That is, if some persons, young people with disabilities, get admission in IITs, IIMs, or even or even in foreign countries, they get this scholarship, good amount of scholarship. Then we have SIPDA. That is, SIPDA is the scheme for implementation of the Disability, the Rights of Persons with Disabilities Act. This provides number of areas it covers, like barrier-free environment, making physical or the built environment accessible, websites accessible, skill development, sports, and then even if the states or the districts uh, organize camp for issuing disability certificates or the UDID cards, that is covered under this scheme. Then we have very important thing, the Accessible India campaign, Sugamya Bharat uh, Abhiyan, which was launched long ago, and now we have Sugamya Bharat app. So under that app, you can report the inaccessible places, and uh, the concerned authorities will are expected to take action. Although at many places the intervention of the courts has been very useful in this. And then National Action Plan for Skill Development, of course, it is covered under SIPDA also. Then unique disability ID for people with disabilities. They have a unique smart card, which will have all the information about what the schemes they have availed. And if they have that UDID, then they do not have to produce so many other disability certificate or some other certificate from medical authorities. Or then another important program or the scheme of the central government, Department of Empowerment Persons with Disabilities, is awareness generation program. Under this, the number of organizations, national institutes, they are organizing the Purple Fest. They are given good amount of fund to organize that, not only at central places, say capitals, but then across the country, small places, district level, block level. So that is the effort the government is doing. These are the 9 schemes. Another very important scheme, not exactly of DEPWD, but National Trust for the Welfare of Persons with Autism, Cerebral Palsy, intellectual disability, and multiple disabilities, is Niramaya. That is a health scheme. So this is a very good scheme. It has been running for many years now, and I think fairly successfully. So many children, people with these 4 difficult disabilities have been benefited. Then if I look at the state governments, every state may have this kind of schemes, ADIP scheme, I mean aids and appliances, supporting their special education, supporting cross disability, and so on and so forth. But most of the states I have seen have basically the pension scheme, disability pension scheme. Some of the states give good amount of pension, but not all. Uh, uh, in fact, some of the states may be giving only very ridiculously very small amount of disability pension. And then they have, most of the states also have for children with disabilities, transport allowance to go to school, and then scholarships. And like other very popular schemes are like, uh, if they for marriage of people with disabilities, both are disabled or one is not disabled or something like that. These kind of schemes, these are specifically for disability specific. Under the mainstream schemes, we have NSAP, that is National Social Assistance Program of Ministry of Rural Development. Under that, this covers say poorer people, families, households. But for people with disabilities, those who have benchmark disability, that is 40% or more, they get pension, and similar amount, same the equal amount is top by the state government. That is, then we have Ayushman Bharat. These are mainstream schemes. Any mainstream scheme will ensure that the people with disabilities, if eligible under those criteria, will get the benefits. That is, whether it is Ayushman Bharat, whether it is any other employment or the skill training. Say for example, skill uh, training center. The skill training center has to be accessible so that the people with disabilities can use that facility. That instruction has to be accessible so that the people with disabilities, may be blind, with blindness, low vision, or say any other intellectual disability, they should be able to access that. That instruction has to be the teaching, and the facilities around that, including digital form, has to be accessible to them. Then under the Department of Empowerment of Persons with Disabilities, the institutional arrangement, as you, I think, during the previous session have may have observed, we have Chief Commissioner for Persons with Disabilities, we have National Trust for Persons with Disabilities, National Trust for the welfare of persons with autism, cerebral palsy, intellectual disability, and multiple disabilities, that takes care of that. What happens to those after the death of their parents is very difficult for these for category of serious disabilities who require uh, support throughout the life. Then we have Rehabilitation Council of India, which takes care of the quality and development of the courses for people. These are rehabilitation courses like special educators, therapists, and so on. Then we have National Divyangjan Finance and Development Corporation, which provides the low cost loans to people with disabilities to start their own business. Some when say they can even they are supported to demonstrate or to exhibit, to put exhibitions at different places, and encourage them to for self employment, or uh, for even coaching for competitive examinations. Then we have Artificial Limbs and Manufacturing Corporation of India under DEPWD, which is in Kanpur, which has made number of, I think, these good equipments, aids and appliances for people with disabilities, and those goods, aids and appliances are ISI marked, and the quality is ensured. There may be some issues of the quality or some, but then good thing is that they have centers across the country, so that if there is any repair or something, they do that. Then another institutional arrangement is that national institutes. We have national institutes for all the disabilities. I would not say all the disabilities, like we do not have institutes, national institutes uh, for persons affected, say, blood disorders. We do not have blood disorders, but I'll just tell you, National Institute of Empowerment of Persons with Visual Impairment is in Dehradun. National Institute of for Hearing and Speech Disability is in Mumbai, which takes care of all the issues. I'll tell you what these institutes are supposed to do. Then we have National Institute of Empowerment of Persons with Intellectual Disability in Secunderabad. We have National Institute of Empowerment of Persons with Multiple Disabilities in Chennai. Then we have National Institute of Empowerment of Persons with Physical Disabilities in Delhi. We have NIRTAR, that is Swami Vivekanand Institute of rehabilitation, and that conducts all the surgery, very high quality surgeries at Cuttack. Then we have National Institute of Locomotor Disability in Calcutta, and then we have ISLRTC, Institute of in Delhi itself, which I think who are maybe participating today. Then we have the latest addition. These are the ISLRTC, Sign Language Research and Training Center, is in and the Mental Health and Rehabilitation Institute in Sihor. These are the two additional things. And in fact, the third one is also for sports in Gwalior. That is Atal Bihari Vajpayee Training Center for Disability Sports in Gwalior. So the government of India has tried to cover all the disabilities and then support. What is the function of those national institutes? Those national institutes are supposed to do research, have outreach camps, and provide the services to people through their CRCs, that is composite rehabilitation centers. Each national institute has the composite rehabilitation centers at different places across country. About 25, exactly 25 CRCs are there as on date. And then we have DDRCs, District Disability Rehabilitation Center. The mechanism is very good. But we have to activate those. We have to operationalize them, make them more functional, more effective, perhaps. That way, this mechanism is good. What is missing for me today, if I look at it, is that at the block and panchayat level, we need to have. Am I muted? Am I audible?
Yes, you are audible. We can hear
Okay,
you.
thank you. I see something. At the block and village panchayat level, if we can have, say, like people like Divyang Mitra, for which the Department of Empowerment of Persons with Disabilities Rehabilitation Council of India and the University of Melbourne have developed a course called a CBID. Who will be on CBI, that is community based rehabilitation inclusive development, and those people will be called Divyang Mitras. If they could be deployed, they will be competent to identify disabilities and ensure that they are referred to the children are referred to the right person, right specialists. Otherwise, it takes so much of time. By the time the detection happens, by the time the referral happens, it is too late to stop that disability at that stage or prevent disability. So that is very important. Perhaps the courts can take note of it and probably ask the state government pass orders to ensure that this loop is complete. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for presenting the schemes and mechanism that help create an enabling and inclusive environment for persons with disabilities. Helplines, accessible information formats, and replicable initiatives. We encourage all the participants to actively engage in this session and to share the best practices or the noteworthy initiative relating to the persons with disabilities. I invite everyone to share their inputs and I request that each response be kept concise so that multiple voices can be accommodated.
कोई हैंड रेज करने का ऑप्शन है? Someone is willing to.
अभी सबको अनम्यूट कर
We need to hand raise करने का option भी दे दीजिए also.
Hello.
DLSA.
System lost. कितना ही दूर आता है?
Yes, I am Chairman DLSA Simdega. May I ask a question, please?
Sure,
Yes,
sir.
sir, we can hear you. I am audible?
Yes, sir, you're audible.
With all of you, I respect all of you. My humble pranam to all of the NALSA members. I want one question, that if the state has not deputed any Divyang Mitra, can PLVs can be given duty of Divyang Mitra or not? They are working at ground level. They are very much knowing who are the disabled persons. If this responsibility be given to them, they can carry out this function very well.
Sir, the scheme of 2024 of NALSA, which we have dealt earlier, it
Yeah.
talks about that PLVs, paralegal volunteers, panel lawyers, or LADC, any kind of help can be taken by them. So
Okay.
if the state has not appointed any Divyang Mitra, because as sir has told, there is a scheme of central government that they have to provide for Divyang Mitra. Since the scheme also empowers you to take such kind of services from PLVs and LADC or panel lawyers.
Thank you. Thank you.
Can I come in, please? Can I come in?
Hello.
Sir,
Can I
please-
come in?
sir,
Yeah,
please-
Can I come in on
yes,
this
sir.
particular
Sure,
thing?
sir. Sure, sir.
Yeah, my request, my suggestion would be that those there is a this program, 6-month program, training program, a certificate course is conducted across the country of CBID for Divyang Mitra. Probably all those para volunteers can undergo that training, and they can be deployed. Anybody can be deployed.
Sir, can kindly share the detail of that training program so that PLVs may be actively participate in this training program and get that kind of certificate
Yes. I'll do
they
that.
can they would be able to work as
Because it is not a scheme. It is a
training
course that
program.
has been developed by RCI. Yeah.
Okay, sir. Please kindly share the details of such a scheme so that we can disseminate.
I'll do that.
Morning to everyone. Good morning, sir.
Morning, ma'am.
This is Member Secretary Uttar Pradesh. First of all, I would start this conversation with sharing the very personal experience of Honorable Mr. Justice Vikram Nath. Sir, Lordship is very close to one Mitti Chaiwala who is a tea vendor at Lucknow Airport, and whenever Lordship visit airport, he'll definitely go to his shop and ask his well-being. So this is a program very close to Honorable Mr. Justice Vikram Nath, sir. And as far as UP is concerned, we have divided our districts into 15 clusters. So today, cluster of Gonda, Balrampur, Basti, Bahraich, and Shravasti is taking one program at Gonda, and this cluster training program is for paralegal volunteers, which is the ground force. And in this training program, they will be discussing this LSUM scheme as well, and this Persons with Disability Act 2016, so that we can enable our PLVs how they have to identify whenever they are in the field, how to identify the persons with disabilities. And moreover, we ask our paralegal volunteers that you need not to be the whistleblower, because sometimes they enter into the very into the areas where they can act as whistleblower, but we ask them that you have to take the local authorities into the confidence, so that you are not acting as whistleblower, but a facilitator to the persons who need legal aid. So moreover, as Mr. Dhariwal has said, that we can Divyang Mitras, for deployment of Divyang Mitras. So definitely we'll be seeking the assistance from the NALSA, so that we can impart training of CEID to the that are 6 months trainings, and we can deploy Divyang Mitras at the sea level at least. So that is all from UP. Thank you so much. Have a good day.
Thank you, ma'am. Definitely, we will be discussing the scheme which were told by Mr. Dharyal sir. Now, anyone else? No one has raised their hand now.
Yeah.
Good morning from, it's from Karnataka.
Namaskar.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello. Am I audible?
Shashidhara Ji,
Yes,
you are audible.
sir, you are audible, sir.
It is from Karnataka. I just want to share one practice which we are following at Khalsa. See, insofar as that scheme, NALSA scheme 2024 is concerned, we requested a former judge of the High Court, Justice N. Kumar, to head that scheme. So we had so many meetings with the government officers, thereby we could take initiatives, best initiatives, because though the act was enacted in the year 2017, we didn't have these MHRBs. So because of our effort and constant meeting with the government officials, now in all the hospitals, that is medical establishments throughout the state, we could establish MHRBs, and also we could insist the government to depute the additional district judge as the chairperson of the MHRBs. I think this is one area where we can actively, otherwise, you know how the government works. So though there are schemes, there are enactments, it will not be implemented unless there is some initiative from the judiciary. So that's one practice. And one area which I am receiving complaint about the non-attendant, even in the Nimans, a best hospital in Bangalore. I had a call from Justice Bopanna with regard to one of the person who is a disabled, mentally disabled person or illness, suffering from the mental illness, and he could not be taken to the hospital because the hospital was refusing to take him admission on the ground that there is no attendant. So that is one area wherein every hospital are refusing to take the mental patient or the person who is suffering from mental illness. If there is no attendant, there is no caregiver, no relative or a wandering person, then I think there is some instructions to the government hospitals, at least any hospital for that matter, that they should take these people immediately, because the ultimate idea is that he should be given medical treatment at the earliest. So that's my suggestion. That's all. Thank you.
I would request Member Secretary Karnataka to send the details of this practice adopted by them so that we can study and try to implement it in other states also. Thank you so much.
Sure, sir. We will do that.
Honorable members, may I say something? I am Yogesh Vajpayee, PLV DLSA Kanpur.
Yeah, please go on.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, all of you. Good morning. Sir, मेरा एक ऑनरेबल कमेटी से मेरा सजेशन ये है कि हम लोग अगर इनको सही माध्यम से इनको लाभ पहुंचाना चाहते हैं आरपीडब्ल्यूडी एक्ट के तहत, तो इसमें हमें पीएलवी भी दिव्यांग कुछ लेने पड़ेंगे और पैनल लॉयर भी दिव्यांग लेने पड़ेंगे इस तरीके से, क्योंकि दिव्यांग की भाषा दिव्यांग बहुत अच्छी तरीके से समझ सकता है, ना कि हम जैसे सकलांग। तो डेफिनेटली हमको इस के भी कदम उठाना चाहिए और हमें लोकल बॉडीज में जो दिव्यांग संगठन होते हैं उनसे भी हम मदद ले सकते हैं कि सही मायने में दिव्यांगों को पहचानने में कि किनको क्या रिक्वायरमेंट है, किनको किस तरीके की लीगल एड की जरूरत है या अदर। थैंक यू सर। थैंक यू।
Kanpur.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
PLV, one of the PLV from
On another
Respected,
note,
sir.
can I
can I come
speak,
in?
ma'am?
Ji, ma'am.
Respected members from NALSA, I am working at the Central University of Kashmir, which is situated in the far-flung area, you can say. I think some responsibility should be given to universities also, who are working in the remote areas. What is your opinion? They should be also allowed to participate for such a noble cause, sir.
Obviously.
All the DLSAs are empowered to contact the universities and work in coordination with them. So I would request the member secretaries as well as the secretary DLSAs, wherever they feel that they can work jointly with the universities for the benefit of disabled and other persons, they may do so.
Yes, sir. We are working, but with regard to legal literacy only. But we should be made somewhere the part of this whole scenario and schemes, so that we will be able, because the teachers can better be able to communicate with such people, I suppose.
I would request member secretary Jammu and Kashmir to get in touch with the ma'am who had just spoken and see what can be done.
Okay, okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much, sir.
Good morning. This is Rajesh Kumar, Secretary DLSA Lohardaga, Jharkhand. I am happy to share the moment that in DLSA Lohardaga we have deployed two Divyang persons as a PLV, and they are performing very well. They are very active in our working area, and we are happy to share this thing before the chair of NALSA and honorable members. Thank you.
Thank you.
I would like to take the discourse in another direction. So, the Right to Persons with Disabilities Act emphasizes on accessibility and especially access to justice, which means a barrier-free entry in the ingress of courts and court premises. So, on that note, various high courts have taken very salutary measures like creating special washrooms for disabled people, creating signages, creating ramps, and also in IT services, a lot of states have created special captchas in e-filing system for case information system and others. So we all the participants can share things which have happened in these areas.
Honorable Sir, I am Ramsundar PLV from Uttar Pradesh, Etawah. Am I audible?
You are audible.
Yes, you're audible.
I have a question, Honorable Sir. Section 14 of the RPW Act 2016 emphasizes the concept of the limitation guardianship. However, at the ground level, often observed that the family member attempt to the label person with the mental illness as being of the unsound mind, only of the observed there the properties in search of the sensitive case. What will the specified guidelines for or protocols should be paralegal volunteer follow as safe ground of the legal capacity and the right of the decision making of such Divyangjan? May I know those what the guidelines for the paralegal volunteer? Honorable sir.
Hello.
Anyone else would like to share the best practices adopted in their states?
Hi, ma'am. I actually have a question for Nalsa.
Please introduce you.
Yes. Hi, good morning. I am a lawyer practicing in the district courts of Maharashtra. I have a question as a master's student of law. When I was doing a paper on mental health and the progress of mental health between USA and India, I realized that India has progressed, no doubt, with mental health, and the Mental Health Act has developed. But there are still problems like WHO recommends having 3 psychiatrists per 10,000 to 20,000 people. This is one gap where we are falling behind. So I think we could have programs wherein we could ensure that we could appoint such people and have mental health colleges or mental health institutions to find such people and train such people. Secondly, I wanted to understand how, as NALSA, as a legal institute, we will be incorporating the current survey that is going on of 2025, which is done in first part. There's still an entire second part left. I wanted to understand how, as lawyers, we can facilitate, how, as junior or young lawyers, we can facilitate in these surveys and how we can help NALSAR reach a better place with mental health as a goal that we have.
A very good morning to all respected. This is DLSA Koshambi, Secretary. I want to say that my area of concern is that sufficient number of facilitators or interpreters should be there to understand the language of mentally disabled persons. Whenever we visit a shelter home or any kind of jail, etc., we find difficulty to communicate to them.
Ma'am, I would suggest you that there is a central government Institute of Sign Language Research and Training Center situated at Delhi. You can go on check the website and you can find out the different so many numbers of the interpreter and assistant professors of their institute. And it is very good in UP they are also having their branches. So you just go check that website and you can find the numbers of interpreters. So they would be able to help even Hardoi, Kannauj, or the remote districts are also included in the list. So you can find their contact number on that list. Thank you.
Good morning. Good morning to all. Good morning to all. I am Abhinav Pandey. I am Additional Secretary at Delhi State Legal Service Authority. And taking the discussion further, which Learned Member Secretary NALSA and other officers present here have initiated. I would like to briefly discuss about the best practices we have adopted in Delhi, and apart from that, the futuristic aspects also which we are looking forward to. I think, first of all, I would like to submit that the facilities which are required to be accorded to the persons with disabilities are threefold. First of all, the accessibility to the courtrooms is a prerequisite. And that is taken care of by the provisions of wheelchairs and ramps and all these facilities, and even the disabled friendly washrooms. A little bit different from this is accessibility not only to access the court premises as such, but the accessibility as far as the proceedings which are happening inside the courtrooms are concerned. So a disabled person may have the accessibility in many of the courtrooms, like ramps, wheelchairs, and the wheelchair attendants and the washrooms which are disabled friendly. But as when such disabled person enters inside the courtroom, there may be a possibility that such person is not able to understand the court proceedings. Let's say the testimony is being recorded and he is not able to understand it. He is not able to properly interact with the legal service advocate provided by the legal service authority, or during the process of cross-examination also. So if we go through the provisions of the RPWD Act, also a very important provision which is lying is Section 12, which talks about access to justice. And it talks about the facility of reasonable accommodation. So this reasonable accommodation again is defined in Section 2Y of the Act. So basically it means that reasonable facilities are required to be given to the persons with disability so that they are able to better understand the court proceedings also, apart from accessing the court premises as such. So as far as the ability to understand the court proceedings is concerned, we had during the last few months, we had some discussion with the court complexes also. And we were of the opinion that there should be a facility dedicated to each of the persons with different kind of disabilities. If we go through the disability schedule annexed in the Act, there are 21 kinds of disabilities. And if we can broadly divide them into locomotor disability, intellectual disability, visual impairment, and speech and hearing impairment. So different kinds of facilities are required inside the court rooms also for these persons to make them understand the proceedings. Like TFT screens can be used for persons with low vision, which is one of the specified disabilities under the Act. And apart from that, there can be text-to-speech readers inside the courtrooms on the, let's say, on the stenographers' computers also, so that the persons with low vision or persons who are visually impaired can at least hear what is being recorded in the testimony or what is being recorded by way of the orders of the court. So e-challans also, certainly they are mandatory. There should be optimal character recognition system. Braille printers also will go a long way in helping the visually impaired persons particularly understand these court proceedings. And in Delhi, we have, I think in other states also, we must be having the vulnerable witnesses deposition complexes. So on the lines of vulnerable witnesses deposition complexes, there should be a specified resource room inside each of the district court complex having these basic facilities. And apart from that, on-call special educator and on-call sign language interpreter can also be available there. The Rehabilitation Council of India's website has the list of all the empaneled and licensed special educators and sign language interpreters. So this, apart from the physical accessibility taken care of by ramps and all, this is the kind of accessibility required inside the courtroom so that disabled persons also have proper access to justice in the terms of understanding the court proceedings, and the documents should also be compatible with them. And the third aspect, which is certainly important, is the rehabilitative aspect. So as far as this rehabilitative aspect is concerned, certainly Section 34 of the Rights of Persons with Disabilities Act, and it is read with Rule 11 of the RPWD rules, providing for the kind of reservation for each category of the disabled persons. That is important. Our victim compensation schemes in each of the states and union territories, they also provide compensation for losses which the persons have incurred as a result of commission of the offense. And there are certain kinds of permanent physical disability resulting as a result of the offense, which is there. And as far as Delhi state is concerned, during the year 2024, 60 lakhs rupees of compensation under the victim compensation scheme was provided to persons having suffered permanent disablement as a result of the offense. And during the period, during this 2025 till now also, 49 lakh rupees compensation has been provided only for the purpose of this permanent disablement. We have also employed acid attack victims as permanent employees under this reservation provision in the State Legal Service Authority and the District Legal Service Authority. As benchmark acid attack victims also fall within this permanent disability. A very important project which we recently undertook at Delhi State is Project Virangana. So under Project Virangana, we had a screening of some acid attack victims regarding their eligibility to become either the paralegal volunteers with the Legal Service Authority. And apart from this, some of them who wanted some vocational training, we coordinated with the Institute of Hotel Management at Pusa, which is a premier institute as far as the hospitality sector is concerned, and we got them trained in food and beverage sector, and they have been placed in reputed firms in hospitality sector also. Apart from that, we have been organizing programs in jails regarding mental illness also. Though I am cognizant of the fact that mental illness is different from intellectual disability, but it is one
Thank
of
you,
the disabilities specified.
Mr. Pandey. Thank you for your suggestions. In fact, what we understand is you tell us that basically justice should not only be relative, but it should be absolute. So it's not only about physical access to courts, but a differently abled person should be able to understand and appreciate the entire proceedings. So under the leadership of the executive chairman and our member secretary, we would be taking steps in future. Whatever your suggestions are and what your state has practiced, you can send this to us in writing through your SLSA, and we will work on it, and you'll see positive results at a pan-India level. Thank you.
Sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you everyone for sharing these enriching.
I would like to mention certain issues raised in the webinar. One of the issues raised by Ms. Shikha Srivastava is that the quarterly data regarding the work done for disabled person that was to be sent by 30th of September by the SLSAs. Many of the states have not sent those data. I would request all the member secretaries to look into it and ensure that all the data is sent by 10th of this month. The other issue is I would request all the secretary DLSAs that they should visit centers and schools for disabled persons in their districts, and they should sensitize the disabled persons about their rights. I would also request member secretaries to ensure that this practice is carried out by all the DLSAs in all the states. Third point I want to raise is I want to Mr. T.D. Dharyal, State Disability Commissioner, has mentioned about certain schemes for disabled persons. As Honorable Lordship had also pointed out, we have a lot of schemes and laws for the disabled persons, but they have to be implemented at the ground level. So I would request all the member secretaries, all the DLSAs, and all the stakeholders to make effort and ensure that all these schemes and laws are implemented at the ground level. The benefits reach to the needy persons, because we have these schemes and these. Thank you.
Thank you everyone for sharing these enriching ground level insights. To conclude today's program, I respectfully invite Sri Kunal Vepa, Learner Director, NALSA, to deliver the closing remarks.
Respected Member Secretary NALSA, Member Secretaries of State Legal Services Authorities, District Legal Services Authorities, officers and officials of NALSA, and distinguished speakers and delegates. As we come to the close of this national webinar commemorating the National Day of Persons with Disabilities, dedicated to fostering disability-inclusive societies for advancing social progress, I profoundly and deeply extend my gratitude to all who have contributed to today's enriching and purpose-driven dialogue. Your thoughtful engagement and commitment reflect our shared determination to strengthen inclusion in every sphere of justice delivery. This webinar reinforces NALSA's firm resolve to ensure that persons with disabilities experience a justice system that is accessible, inclusive, and free from prejudice. The Right of Persons with Disabilities Act and the Legal Services Authorities Act, particularly Section 12, affirming free legal aid, are not merely statutory mandates. In fact, they are expressions of a collective promise to secure equality, protect dignity, and guarantee full and active participation for every individual. The technical sessions today were quite enriching. They clearly outlined how accessibility must be implemented in practice and how social and structural hurdles still limit equal opportunities. Srimati Shikha Srivastava took us through the contours of the Right to Persons with Disabilities Act and enlightened us on various nuances of the Act. Also, the Learned Disability Commissioner harped on several schemes working at the national and federal level, and we'll definitely improvise on that and come out with suggestions in the future. Whether it is sensitization, or improving infrastructure, spreading legal awareness, or changing attitudes, every improvement we make brings us closer to a justice system that truly includes everyone. During the open house session, we witnessed inspiring initiatives from different salsas, especially Delhi. They spoke about the steps which they have taken, and all stakeholders shared their experiences. And this is what demonstrates how collectively we can perpetuate the salutary provisions of this act for the most vulnerable sections of the society. So, Lord Mansfield once said that let justice be done, though the heavens fall. So, in conformity with that, the Right of Persons with Disabilities Act has been passed, which is premised on certain principles, which is inclusiveness, equality, accessibility. In fact, this act is a paradigm shift from a charity-based approach to a right-based approach. And it's in sync with the principles of good governance and the new human rights jurisprudence which we follow. Today's webinar has been a collective effort in affirming our commitment to the persons with disabilities and how we can together work and insulate and protect and perpetuate the rights of these vulnerable sections of the society. Before I conclude, it is my privilege to acknowledge the leadership and participation of His Lordship, Honorable Mr. Justice Vikram Nath, Judge Supreme Court of India, and Executive Chairman NALSA, whose guidance continues to steer our efforts. We are also grateful to our learned member secretary, NALSA, for guiding us and leading today's program. We also acknowledge the role and efforts of all the secretaries, member secretaries of state legal services authorities and secretaries of district legal service authorities. We also thank the State Disability Commissioner and representatives from the Indian Sign Language Research and Training Center, members and representatives of the Supreme Court and High Court Legal Services Committee, distinguished speakers, delegates and participants, and most importantly, the officers and officials of NALSA. Without your support and active involvement, this program would not have been as meaningful and effective. Your contribution encourages us to keep working so that justice reaches everyone. As we move forward, let us continue to uphold dignity, expand accessibility, improve representation, and ensure that justice is not only a right, but a lived reality for every person with a disability. Thank you all for your commitment and partnership. Together, we shall build a society where everyone can live with equality, respect, and full opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. With this, we formally conclude the National Webinar on International Day of Person with Disability. On behalf of NALSA, I extend my heartfelt gratitude to Honorable Executive Chairman, Learned Member Secretary NALSA, Learned Director NALSA, Officers on Special Duty NALSA, all the speakers and resource persons, representatives from SLSS, DLSS, NGOs, legal aid institutes, PLVs, and all the participants. Your engagement and insight embody the collective commitment to building a justice system that is accessible, inclusive, and dignified for all. Thank you.